welcome. I am so excited to be one of your hosts today on Rockin the Love. I'm Robyn.
And I'm Gil, and we are happy to be hanging out with you on this Wednesday. We do have a special guest, even though our picture at the beginning didn't tell you that because it doesn't matter, but it's not there. So we'll get to our guest later. Robyn, what do we got? What are we doing?
We're checking in. We're letting go of what hasn't happened. Oh, okay, everybody, let's all take a collective breath and just get here. Just arriving and knowing that we're all here to be inspired and have something revealed that takes us into our next greatest yet to be. So we're just letting go of the minuscule stuff that nobody knows about except us, that keeps us down. All right, I'm ready.
All right, so we're still working on our theme of the year, which is living out loud, right?
Living out loud with Wayne from Calgary.
Woohoo! All right, welcome.
Yep, committed to living out loud. I think that topic has been quite fascinating so far.
Just yes, absolutely.
That's the thing. You declare something, and then the opportunities just keep arriving to remember what you declared.
Yep.
So, speaking of that, how was your week?
My week was good. Had a good week. Yeah, a lot going on. I am kind of working with this whole thing, as you said, living out loud's having its way, and it's given me opportunities to step up and be more in control, more involved, more whatever with my own taking care of what I need to take care of and being present to it, and showing up. And knowing that all that I need is showing up no matter what.
So it's not really about being in control. It's more about surrendering.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's not surrendering in the sense of giving up, but it's shifting to a surrender that is embracing and allowing.
Right.
And that's the shift. Because the other one tends to move towards, forget it.
Right. And that's a good distinction, because us metaphysicians, we say surrender and it's almost like, oh God, that's just the next step to getting to where I want to go. It's not like really giving up. It's more like it's become just a step in the process.
Yeah.
Realizing that there's nothing we can do anyway on some
right.
All right.
Right. Or it's realizing what we can do, which is be present to what is.
Right. Right. And thank you, Wayne. I think being present to the marshmallow fluff. I think that's a great metaphor for life.
I'm thinking Calgary may have some snow, so maybe that's part of it. I don't know. All right. What about you? Right. What's new with you this week?
My week has been good. There's been a lot of changes in our house, so we're learning a new way of living. As opposed to 5 people, we became 4, and now we're 3 because one child is off at away school, and so yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. It's really interesting how relationships shift, and change, even though it's the same people you've been with for, ever. Whatever.
Yeah.
But my week was good. And I'm very excited about our guest today and our topic. So I want to get to that. So I don't want to keep everybody waiting. But let's get to the good news. So here's the good news.
Woohoo!
And this is our segment about what's good in the world, because God knows we get to hear enough about what isn't. So we're just looking around and seeing what's out there and who's out there doing.
Just reminding ourselves that the difference between good news and bad news is where we're looking.
Ooh. Ah, deep.
Yeah. I'm a minister.
Gil is a minister. Preach, brother, preach. Yeah. No, but well, it's yes. That's a whole different conversation. But
Yep, it is.
I was actually having a revelation in the middle of my sentence,
It,
which is why I repeated my sentence three times, because I was thinking the good news that we talk about generally when we're talking about people and what they're doing in the world has a lot to do with leadership.
yep, it does.
So, anyway, we want to get to that and our guest. And so, what is your good news, Mr. Olmsted?
Oh, I'm excited about this. I have two like environmental and social justice type and environmental justice type things. First of all, in the Netherlands, there's some people that have gotten together and they've created and implemented bubble barriers for the river. So for rivers, they put a pipe down with holes. They use clean energy to run a pump that blows air in. It blows bubbles up, and it causes all of the trash that's coming down the river in some way to be just nudged aside into a place where it gets caught up. And they catch 85% of the plastic and stuff in the river before it hits the ocean by doing that. And they can do it anywhere. It doesn't have anything to do with the traffic or the fish or anything else on the river. All it does is take care of the trash.
That's
Isn't that
amazing.
cool? That's
Yeah,
just
that's very
brilliant.
cool.
Just brilliant.
It is brilliant.
And the other
And see,
one,
it sounds so easy,
yeah, well, it sounds
so
easy because it
doable.
is. It's just somebody had to think about it, you know,
Okay.
and yeah. So my other one though is about I think most of us, if anyone's watched one of the um, you know, SVU shows or one of those. We've heard of Rikers Island in New York, which is a rather infamous prison. It's scheduled to be shut down completely by 2027 because of the horrendous conditions, et cetera. However, some people have come up with a proposal which would transform it into a green energy hub, and it would take water sewage treatment out of Queens and the Bronx, where it spews out all kinds of crud for the people that live there. And it would create clean energy production and new um, sewage treatment and all that kind of stuff, and shift the whole make it into something that really serves the community and supports um, bringing some of that environmental justice back to those communities.
That's amazing. And when I hear those kinds of stories, I'm really reminded that things are changing. That
Mm-hmm.
there, somehow there is a collective consciousness that this is happening. And for us that have been fighting for it or working towards it or whatever for so long, it doesn't always look like it because it's not the end result. But I mean, these little baby steps and giant steps are are moving us towards all of that. It's so
Well,
great.
again, it goes back to it takes leadership for someone to come up with something that would cause that much disruption somewhere and yet create that much good, and to propose it and the length of time it'll take to implement and all of that. That's somebody that has to be able to see something larger. So that's kind of exciting. So go ahead. What's yours?
My good news is about a man named Hody Childress, and he was from Alabama, and um, for about a decade ago or so, he he went into a pharmacy and he learned when he was picking up his meds that there was about 900 people in his town that couldn't afford um, pharmacy
Medicine? Yeah.
meds, their prescriptions. And so when he heard this, he he went back to on the first of the month. He went back to the owner of the drugstore, and he gave her $100 bill, and he said, "Here, this is for anyone that can't afford their prescription." And he said, "But don't tell a soul that the money came from me. Tell them it's a blessing from God." And the next month he went back and he gave her $100 bill. And every day on the month of the year, on the day of the month, he would go in and give them $100 and say, don't tell him. And this went on for a little over 10 years. And then he passed away it stopped in late 2022 when he couldn't do it anymore, and he couldn't move and was at home and kind of bed rest kind of stuff, and that's when it stopped. And but because of what he did, their TV station there is keeping up the tradition and is going to keep it going. So I think that's so cool. I mean, the word got out that they had an angel in their midst, and the TV reports and the townspeople all agreed to carry on his legacy and to keep it going. So, and they said it paid for at least 2 people to have their prescriptions filled per month. So,
the cool part about that is that's exactly what we're talking about today is leadership. And leadership is not about, I think as you'll hear from our guest, about titles or getting people to serve you. It's about getting people to serve others. So that's pretty cool.
It is cool. So let's get to it. And while we're going to break, you all can like us and sign up for our social media and get your drink and get ready to chat with us. Let us know where you're sitting from or joining us from, and join in the conversation, because it's always much more fun like that. So we'll be right back here on New Thought Media Network.
Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, for your continued support. Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown Atlanta, for your monthly contribution. Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, for your monthly contribution. And please help us welcome Om Center for Spiritual Living in La Mesa, California. Thank you for your monthly donation. Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, for your most generous donation. And a special thanks to Hefferlin Foundation for your generous technology grant. And Suze Ajit, thank you for your very generous donation. And a super special thank you to Dr. Tracy Brown, RSCP. Thanks for being a super donor. And a big shout out to all our committed donors.
everybody. We're back. This is Rockin the Love, and we are happy to be here. I'm Gil.
And I'm Robyn, and I'm in Oakland,
And
California.
I am in New Mexico. Woo-hoo! And we are really happy to have you. I'm happy to see that Reverend Sherry Lynn has joined us from the
Reverend
East Bay.
Sharon.
Yeah.
We love her.
And so if you haven't been with us today, our topic of the day is Take Me to Your Leader. And we're very excited about our guest who's coming up. So Robyn, how about if you introduce her without further ado?
Our guest today is Myrna Lopez Chevitech. I knew how to say it before we went on. I thought about it when I heard her say it. Anyway, let me tell you about Myrna, and I'm going to tell you about Myrna from my perspective. Myrna loves to serve. She serves everywhere. You know, I read her bio, and she has not even captured the places where she serves. She is amazing, and she is actually a practitioner at the spiritual center in Merida, and she is originally from Mexico. She learned about science of mind over 20 years ago, and her goals is to be able to share the science of mind really and the teachings with the Hispanic community and people all over the globe. So that's all I'll tell you for now.
I was going to say.
I had a lot of other things. I have a lot to say about Myrna. Okay, I was going to tell you one thing. So Myrna and I met on the phone. It's a pattern in my life. We met on the phone, and she was working with me to help me get more Spanish-speaking people to our practitioner gathering. And I was like, oh no, this girl is built for leadership. I need her to come on the practitioner council. I need her to run. And she was like, oh no. I don't know. It sounds like a lot. I'm like, no, it's not a lot. Sorry. I'm so sorry.
You lied to her in essence.
A little bit. But
Yeah.
in the moment, it didn't feel like a lot because it felt really, I could feel the value that Myrna brings to wherever she is. And so it was more important. It's like I knew it was part of her mission. And I want to say, since Myrna has been on the practitioner council with me, we have really, as a collective, done a great deal to include, a lot of Latin American countries. I mean, we've done a lot globally, but we've got, everyone at home office doing things in translations and papers and announcements in English and Spanish. And we silently, although I just put it on the air, take credit for that because we did it first. And we heard that people were talking about us going, oh, they did this and they had a translator at their gathering and they did that. Rah, 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 rah. Yeah, that's right. We're trendsetters. So I needed her to play on my team, and here she is, Myrna Lopez.
Thank you, Robyn. Oh, goodness. Yeah. And yes, you did lie to me. You told me it was not a big deal. No, but it was a good lie. And I'm glad I believe your lie.
Yeah. So Myrna, you are in a lot of positions of leadership in your life, especially the most challenging one being a mom and a wife. Right?
Thought it was being a wife and a mom in that order. Challenging in leadership.
I was trying not to get started. I was trying to give you a break, you men in general. Yeah. So tell us about that. How you balance leadership.
It is an interesting question because even you said mom and a wife. Now you make me ponder about that because, of course, as my number one position, choice to be, and yet all the other stuff that I do kind of complement everything that I do as a mom, as a wife, as in this other person that Myrna has become that I had no idea. Um, and I think actually I want to say thank you to Robyn because, yes, I was doing some things before in the past in my center, in the previous center where I was, and I was in leadership positions, but I didn't see myself in the way that I see myself now. Whatever Robyn saw in me on that phone call, I didn't even see it. But it was from that step. That was you know how you go through life and then there is something that happens in your life and it just changes and shifts and everything of it. In terms of leadership, that phone call, Robyn, that saying yes to the prep council, that saying yes to participate, to give out of me, has transformed in everything. And it also, going back to the service in my marriage and my, first of all, I love being a mother. I wish that and I desire that for so many years. One day I'll tell you the story about that. I desire that for so many years. And I prepare myself even though there's no preparation to be a mom, but I knew what type of mom I wanted to be, what type of values I wanted to show to my child, what kind of behaviors I wanted him to learn through what I did, not what I was telling him, but I am the example of him, right? I might say, please don't do that, but if I turn around and I do something that I told him not to do, he's going to do it. I'm the one, he's watching me, he's listening, everything. So I am the leader, as you just said. But in that position, in that role, I learned that I really needed to be conscious because I wanted my child, and I still want my child, a life that it was different from the one that I lived.
Something that really struck me, Myrna, in what you sent us about you was about working with kids and how important it is to work with children, and you've just talked about a little about the fact that how do we instill the values, et cetera, that support children in becoming the leaders that will be able to pass that on, and I hear you doing that with your son. At least that's your intention,
Yes.
Yeah. So how do you see other ways that you do that, or how do you encourage others to do that?
I think for me, the greatest example, and I guess the thing is to be an example of it. Just again, it is, you can be, yes, you talk about children, but it's also, yes, in our interactions with adults, at least for me, I get inspired by what I see in others. I get inspired and it's more of what I see in others instead of what they say. Sometimes words and actions don't match. For me, are very important. For me, I lead really by who you are, who you're being into the world. And it is the same way that a child learns. A child learns by the example of how you behave or what you say, that's how we all learn. That's how we interact. And so it prepares us to leadership in terms of children, but it continues to push us and empower us as grown-ups, as an adults, to continue to be in those roles. We hear, all of us are from New Thought philosophy, and there's all kinds of roles, there's all kinds of leadership levels, there's all kinds of things, and there is a unspoken line or unspoken words that how we impact others. Call it a team leader, call it a minister, call it even a practitioner that is into a leadership role position, how we behave. Our
Yeah,
actions match our words.
I think that's so important because when I was doing a little research, I always like Google whatever our topic is just to see what it says out there. And a lot of things said, that leadership is a skill and that it can be learned and, practiced and mastered by anyone willing to put in the effort, kind of thing. And then in talking about leadership, like somewhere I saw that the four characteristics of a great leader are honest, competent, inspiring, and forward thinking. And I thought, wow, can all of that really be learned?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good question.
I mean, can it really be learned? And I think we've had, we in my experience, a lot of the great leaders didn't plan to be leaders. They were just doing what they do. And so I'm wondering, I'm wondering if you really can. I think, I don't know, what do you guys think? Can you learn to be a leader? Is it a both and?
I want to share something, a quote that it goes aligned with what you just said. And I did have a little quotes that I like because I've been reading about that to keep me in that line of leadership. Great leaders don't set out to be a leader. They set out to make a difference. It's never about the role. It's always about the goal. And I think it goes along with what you just said. And I'm going back to your invitation. I didn't know what I was going into. You just saw me doing something. You just saw me do what I was doing. That's what Myrna does. Myrna loves to be a service. Myrna loves to share the principles of Science of Mind because they have impacted my life. And I want to share that with the world, with the Hispanic community, with English community, whatever it is, with the children especially too, because if we can start from the younger years, oh my goodness, what the world could be. But I think it's more about, as you said, it can be learned, but it's also, if you look within to do your part in the world, I think we all are leaders. We all come here to serve in one way or another.
Yeah, I agree with you. And we have Sherry's comment that, yes, children do what you do, not what you tell them to do. And the reality is that I believe that is very true of children, and it's very true of just about anybody, right? Just about anybody. I think the thing that where confusion happens is that you can teach management, but I'm not sure that you can teach someone to become a leader. You can help them become a better leader. You can offer them insights, but there's a level at which it's where they have to be coming from. You can't force somebody to come from that space. Right. And so that's why you have some leaders who miss it a little bit, miss the mark here and there, because they're focused in a different way. But if the leaders who have really shown up and led, they're coming from a place of what they see, what the vision is, their goal of holding everyone, of supporting everyone to become something. And that's different than, how can we make this work? You guys need to do this way for me.
Right.
Well, and I think, in listening, I was thinking, when Myrna said she didn't know really what, she was getting into, kind of thing. There's a level at which I didn't really know what I was getting into either when I said
a level.
Well, I'm not talking about our marriage. I'm talking about the practitioner council.
Oh yeah, well,
When
okay,
I
that was
said
maybe
yes to
a
getting
little
into
less not
that,
knowing there.
when I said yes to getting into it, but I was thinking, because I was listening to all of us talk, and all of us are kind of we're coming from that empathic side. So it's like I didn't need to hear the details as much as I felt the vibration and knew that there was something that was right. Knew that there was a reason I needed to be connected. So with Myrna, you know, I didn't really know her. All I knew was that, she sent 10 people to the gathering and volunteered to do some translation. You know, I didn't really know like what else she could do, but because I come from that feeling place, it was like feeling into it. And I think, I mean, in leadership, relationships are what matter the most, you know? And we created a relationship, whatever it was, and it felt good. So we were willing, you know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know. I'm just
Yeah,
thinking, I don't know. Yeah.
well, I think Myrna's been describing leadership in terms of relationship a lot.
Well, that's all about. Well, we're in this world. There's no way we can avoid relationships. Whatever you do, there is people around you, family, wives, husbands, acquaintances, exes, all the stuff. It's that's the world we are. We're how to we're that's our human nature to relate to other people. And so when we are into this role of it, how do we improve, how do we invite, how do we motivate, how do we empower those around us? But also I think is how do we empower ourselves too? I love the title, Take Me to Your Leader. And I shared a little bit earlier behind the cameras, behind the scenes, but I love these shows because for me it makes me really think, what is it that I am doing? Why am I doing this? I'm not appearing here just so people can see me and all this stuff. I want to create an impact of it. I want to share with others. I want to also learn from others. I love to learn from others. I don't have the answers. I am a brand new practitioner. Well, kind of compared to the Minister Gil right here, but and Robyn too, which is an emeritus practitioner. But I love to learn from that, and it is. I'm going back again to children, and I learn by watching others. And when something that somebody's doing, I take it with me. And I think leadership is all about that. It's about it's empowering others, it is lifting them, it is saying yes you can do it, and how can we work together, and how do we can create a beloved community. I'm going to quote Jim Locker says, a beloved community, it's a bunch of people trying to love, and I'm not following the whole thing, but the idea is loving themselves, loving each other, and loving the universe. That's what we are doing as a leader in the practitioner council, whether you're a minister, whether you're a whatever role, a team leader.
Yeah.
There's no
However,
more right. There's no hierarchy of what you do.
So in the tradition of Jeopardy, I just want to ask the question that I believe you've just answered. How do good leaders relate to those they lead? And you've just said it. You
well,
have
and
to.
Sherry actually said it as well. She said, yes, Rev Gil must come from that space. Leaders must realize that they serve as they lead.
Mm-hmm.
And I think,
Or they lead as they serve. Ooh.
ooh,
Ooh.
you're so
Okay,
deep
Sherry,
today.
just playing. But I think it's
No,
true.
but
I
I
think
think
either
that's
way.
true.
Yeah.
I think that's true. And I mean, it actually reminds me of when I was becoming a practitioner, and I remember my classmates and I used to like talk about people who were practitioners and go, I mean, not badly, but it was like, they're a practitioner, because there were so many nuances and differences between how people serve and how people lead. I mean, obviously I know that now, but at the time when people weren't showing up, or not doing what they were supposed to do, it was easy to judge it and go, wait, I don't understand it. Aren't they're a practitioner, as if practitioners were flawless. Now I know that they there are very few that are flawless.
Oh,
now,
you're part of a very elite group, right?
It's an elite club. Yeah, no, so not true. But now I know that I can look at it in a different way. But we don't. Like many people say, I didn't ask to be a leader. Yeah. Oh well. If there are people watching you, right, on some level, you're a leader. And so I want to ask. Go ahead.
But you know what? It's actually fun. I found a lot of joy when I serve. When I give out of me, and I know we're in camera and people are, but when I give out of me, I forget about my stuff. Whatever little stuff is happening in my life. My husband used to say that, and I'm like, yeah, whatever, right? And he goes, no, when you are in service, when you give to yourself, all your drama and all this stuff becomes very insignificant. And the funny part is that you find your way and somehow the drama disappears. Don't ask me how, because I have not going through that chapters in the book, but or the studies on but it does. I mean, when I'm sad, for all of a sudden something happens, I have a sacred service, a spiritual practice with my center that we do every day from Monday to Friday. Once I give out of the God in me, I forget what was happening. Why was I sad, or what was that? Whatever the emotions were, and it just my consciousness shift, and whatever's going on, it gets resolved. And that's what happens when we serve. And Robyn, you were talking about the judgment of those that do and those that don't. I'm working on that. I'm working really hard on that because not to judge, because I'm like, oh, look, what about you decide to be a practitioner and I have to this, and I have to quiet, Mirna, poop, go within, go, do your part. Don't worry about the rest of it. What's yours to do?
Yeah.
Don't worry about the part. And yeah. I don't know, for those that are listening, that are serving, that are, I don't know, I found my way. I found my way in serving. I had no idea it was going to be this way. I had no idea it was going to be in this philosophy. And I'm happy I did, whatever the time it took. And I'm really, really happy. I love helping others. I love sharing what is possible.
Yeah.
So, Myrna, I want to make sure you hear this from Sherry, recently crowned Reverend. Yes, Myrna, I thought I was the only one to think like that. You are me, and I am you.
One.
And I want to go back to what Sherry said before that, which is that great leaders are okay with being vulnerable. It's about the vision, not about the self, little self. And I think that great leaders are about being vulnerable. I think that, when we talked about the qualities of leadership, being honest and all that, it's like, I think when you're coming from that place, you're closer to, I'm not going to say all the time, but you're closer to living in the moment and being authentic and really just coming from that place. So you're really not, you don't have time to judge or look outside of yourself. You're in the moment, and I think that is the energetic that people connect to, and that makes you vulnerable, you know. Um, and I think that's part of what moves people into great leadership. Whether it's the people that rush out during some social justice issue and take a hold of it and are able to make a difference and turn it around, or whether it's something small and or appearingly small.
I have another, you're talking about the qualities of a leader. I have another little slide. It says, to lead is to make a difference, to have a vision, live your values, be present in the moment, see the good in all people, follow your heart, trust, listen more than you speak, be congruent, be authentic, be heartfelt, be engaging, be inspired. It's all of that. And how do we, you talk about being authentic and being honest and being vulnerable. There are some days that I get out of my center, of my inside center, right? And it's okay. I used to have, especially when I became a brand new practitioner, I had, for some reason, I adopted this way of thinking that I was now perfect and I couldn't, act certain ways. And of course, right. And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm still human. I'm still human, and stuff is going to happen, and feelings are going to arise, and all these comments are going to. But the cool thing about this is I can look at what's happening and then go back, go within, and use all my tools that I know. Sometimes it's to call a person and, yeah, maybe just whatever I need to share, and ask either for prayer, for coaching, for just holding the vision, to hold that truth. And it is okay too, because I think sometimes the title of a leader, whatever role you are, can be a little heavy. Can be a little heavy. And we put ourselves sometimes like up here, and I'm speaking for myself. No, I'm still human. I still have emotions, and I'm gonna mess up, and I might say something that I really didn't mean it, and I can go and apologize or something. That's, for me, that's inspiring. For me, that is, I want to follow that person. I don't know.
Yeah, and do leaders not mess up? I mean, I think that's how some people, not everybody, but great leaders, I think they tried over and over and over different things until they got to the right one, right? Which might be construed as mess up. So I wanted to ask you guys before
Wait, can I say something before you ask?
Yes.
Okay, I've been waiting patiently. Um, I just wanted to say, Myrna, that Sherry's comment that great leaders are okay with being vulnerable is exactly what you just demonstrated. That's being vulnerable to speak your truth about what's going on with you and how your process is and what you need to do to be present and do the things you want to do. I mean, you feel called to do.
Right.
That's the vulnerability, I believe, that changes it right there. So, okay, now you can go on.
I just want to ask you, because I read this quote by John Maxwell that said, leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. What do you think about that quote? Or what do you think influence means?
Going to say, depending on how you define it, but I'll let Myrna go.
Nothing less is influence. I believe so. I think it is, because at least for me, the way I see other people, whatever they're doing, like I said, again, I go more into the actions than to the words. Whatever they're doing, that influences me or how I might want to behave or something like that. Not that I will be that person or that leader because everybody has their own way, but it does have a bit an influence, an impact on that. That's what I can say.
I was going to say, I think influence is based on how we are perceived as a leader, and how we're perceived as a leader is impacted by how we show up. And if we show up in integrity and honesty and vulnerability, then when we get to a place where we say, you know what, I really think this is what's going to be best in this situation, well, that will have an influence on people. If that isn't how we've been showing up, we'll be ignored and we won't be able to lead. We won't be able to inspire people to take that next, kind of scary step, perhaps, or risky step, or the step that hasn't been done yet, that kind of thing.
Right. Well, I'm going to share with you a quote. The greatest leader is not necessarily the one who does the greatest things. He is the one that gets the people to do the greatest things. Ronald Reagan.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say, after that conversation, I would say he's the one that influences the people to do the greatest things. Not because I don't think we're trying to get anyone to do anything as much as, I'm not trying to get people to recycle. I'm trying to let people understand why it might be a good thing for their life, their planet, and their future generations. I'm trying to share the information so that people can make their own conclusions. I mean, yeah, maybe I'm trying to get them to do it, but you know what I mean. Not via get the hardcore get. Yeah.
But I think it's in there, that's where you're leading by example, you're leading by making a difference of it. So again, it's with actions that we can influence people. Yes, perhaps there's a little agenda behind the scenes, right? But it's the way to impact or influence is by example.
Right.
I'm going back again to children. That's the way my child learns. He really, sometimes he kind of, his body language is kind of the same as mine. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. he sees what I do.
Yeah. Yep. We experience that as godparents and observing that in each other, and oh, well, maybe that's a place where I'm not as consistent as I thought. What I think I'm teaching them is what I'm saying, but I'm not really I'm not showing them what that means, or I'm perhaps showing them even the opposite of it, depending,
Right.
So
Me,
go ahead.
I was reading what Reverend Sherry said, a leader inspires. I totally agree with her. And for me, also a leader empowers.
Mm-hmm.
Because in our organization there's too many people, and I'm just let's count just practitioners, or let's just focus on practitioners and ministers. We all say yes to something, right? To serve our communities, to serve our world, to serve humanity. And it is through inspiring them, through empowering them, to reminding of the greatest power that is within, that we can have an influence again, right, into the world.
Yes. So I this has been the quickest time, and I want to let people know where they can find you, where they can talk to you, where they can hear you, and let them know a little bit about what you're doing. I promise y'all we'll have Myrna back when she has a set schedule, but tell them just a little bit about where they might be able to find you.
In my house? No, I'm kidding.
Speaking of that, where are you coming from today, Myrna?
I am in Dallas, Texas.
Dallas, Texas. Okay, cool. Because we only put up New Mexico and Oakland. I wasn't sure. I was like, well, she's somewhere else. Come on.
Well,
All right,
I
thank
am
you.
from Dallas. I live in Dallas, Texas, but I am originally from Mexico.
Yeah.
So, and I serve the center in Merida, Mexico. So that's where my heart is with my. I love all of you, but I love also my Hispanic community. So where can you find me? Go to I guess vidaespiritual.org. I don't know how to say it in English, all of that. So you I can put it in the chat. Robyn, maybe you can do that. Spell it vidaespiritual.org. You can also put my email address in there, m.lopez, LOPZ97 @yahoo.com. You can find me sometimes on Center for Spiritual Living Merida, Mexico, in our Facebook programs. Every Wednesday we have different things. Sometimes I appear there. Sometimes there's other people there. Where else they can find us? If you're a practitioner, you can find us on the Practitioner Council every month on Sensational Saturdays. Right there, you can find me too.
Yes.
Which, by the way, you've been a huge part of making that a success.
It was another invitation from Robyn, and I really love partnering with your wife. It's a fun trip. We are the comadres, and we have fun doing this kind of stuff.
We do. So anyway, there's plenty of places. If you didn't catch them or whatever, we will email us and we'll get her information to you. We'll have her back when she's starting up a prayer piece on New Thought Media Network. And we're just so grateful. We're so grateful you were here. And it's just a good reminder for us, really, all of us, that we're all leaders and that there is no separation really from that. And I'm going to leave you with a quote that was put up a minute ago. But if your actions create a legacy that inspires others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, then you are an excellent leader. That's from Dolly Parton. And I think we got a group and a network and an audience full of wonderful leaders.
Yeah, I wanted to just say there's a ton of stuff out there on leadership if you're just wanting to research it and do more. And while I'm saying that, Sherry's asking you if you're available on social media.
I am just putting, am I able to put a comment? I just put Myrna Lopez on Facebook.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
There you go. Mm-hmm.
But I was just going to say, we mentioned a quote from John Maxwell. He has a book called The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, which is a pretty well-known book. Brene Brown has written Dare to Lead, and she comes from a big point of vulnerability. And then the other one that I know people have done a lot of work with is the 15 Commitments of Conscious Leadership, Detman, Chapman, and Klemp. So just, and that's just a, drop in the bucket of what's available out there. But there's a lot of stuff that can encourage us on how to step into leadership.
Yes, I for me, I'm reading the Creating the Beloved Community from Jim Lockhart. That creates, within our movement, that creates another, it's another way of understanding leadership, and whether you're a spiritual leader or whether you're a practitioner or whatever it is. So, yep.
Thank you.
So we just invite you to next week. Oh, next week's going to be February.
Yep, February.
It's a month of love.
Love month.
Love.
And we're going to be loving out loud next month. That's what we're going to be doing.
We're loving out loud. Good theme. So join us and just know that wherever you are a leader. You are leading the way. You are lighting the world. And just by being who you are, there is someone watching and someone learning and someone you don't even know that's just picking up your energy and your vibe. And It's giving them, we don't know, strength, hope, possibility. So step into it, be it, shine, and
Yes.
rock the love.
Rock the love. Thank you so much for being with us, Myrna.
Thank you.
And
Thank you. Gracias.
Robyn, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, gracias.
That's it for us today.
Okay, rock the love, everybody.
Rockin the love.
Bye.
Bye.